Welcome back to Grassroots Media, and welcome to this year's edition of the Malone's Record Service Evan Monroe Show, presented by Critters Corner, where we cover everything on the field with the West Greene Buffalo football team. As always, I'm joined here with Buffalo's head coach, Evan Monroe. Coach, how we doing?
Doing great, man.
It's good to be back.
Absolutely.
There's excitement in the air. Football's around the corner.
You can smell it.
How excited are you?
I'm real excited. I think we got a good group of guys this year. I think we'll go be competitive.
You must have done well last year. You've got 2 sponsors this year.
You know, I'm glad Critters chipped in this year.
Absolutely.
It's my go-to breakfast spot.
You can't beat it.
No, most mornings I'm down there grabbing a biscuit before work. So thanks, Critter.
We'll have to do one in Critters sometime.
I'd be down for it.
We did that with the Hawn and Sauce show, I think, 2 years ago. We didn't do it last year, though. We might need to make a return back to Critters Corner and do an episode. And maybe get free lunch, too.
Hey,
We'll see who's paying. We'll make Dalton pay.
That'll work.
There we go.
Be on the boss.
Got Malone's Record Service, too, as a title sponsor, so shout out to them. Maybe get a hat or two, wear them on the show.
That'd be
nice. Give them some free promo.
Absolutely.
Since they're already paying us anyway.
Absolutely.
But let's talk about some football.
Absolutely.
It's around the corner. First game is in 18 days, the day that we're recording this. You've got a roster of, I think, 36 players that I counted.
Yeah.
Let's talk about them. Let's talk about each player, what you think they'll bring to the team this year, and what you can expect out of them. Just go numerically, seniors down to freshmen, just however you'd like to do it. Just take me through the roster this year.
All right. We'll do this numerically because that's how I got them down here.
All right.
First guy's Skylar Shelton. Skylar he played in middle school, took a couple years off, come back last year. This year he's expected to pick up a workload as kind of a running back. Maybe we go some of our spread stuff, kind of put him out wide a little bit because he was a receiver last year. So he's a guy that we can move around a couple different spots, and he kind of knows what he's doing there. But really, we expect him to be, our primary running back mostly. Had a good spring. Had a pretty good scrimmage last week. He's kind of figuring out how to run the ball. Still got to work on some little things, but for the most part, he's really picked up and had a good off season in the weight room. So he's a guy that will be definitely one of our playmakers this year on the offensive side of the ball. Defensively, he'll be one of our starting outside linebackers. He's long, lanky, can move pretty decent. So I look forward to him seeing how he develops from last year to this year. I expect Skylar to be one of the guys that I talk about a lot this year. Next guy is Austin Franklin.
Another returning name that we'll probably hear a lot.
Yeah. So Frankie's a kid that he will be all over the place. Defensively, he's our starting corner. That'll be his home. He played that last year, did an excellent job there. Don't expect to move him much around there. Offensive side of the ball, he's probably going to be our starting quarterback. If he's not a quarterback, he may run some tailback. He may run the slot. He's just a dynamic playmaker, and we've got to be creative with where we stick him and find different ways to get him the ball and get him the space. Because when Frankie has the ball in space, man, he makes good things happen. He's got breakaway speed. He's got the ability to cut, make guys miss, flip his hips and go. He's going to be pretty much our everything. He's going to be your kick returner, punt returner, quarterback, running back, receiver.
Snap the ball a little bit?
Yeah. Actually, he is our long snapper when we go PAT.
Really? I was just making a joke, but that's crazy. He will actually do everything.
He will wear a lot of different hats for us. He long snapped for us last year, so that's just easy for him. I honestly think he is one of the punting duties as well. So Frankie's a guy that we'll have to talk a lot about because he's going to wear a lot of hats for us. The next guy is Alex Johnson. So Alex is another returning man that we will hear a lot from. He'll start out wide for us at receiver. He's a guy that played that spot last year, made a lot of good plays for us. Big thing is he'll be our starting safety in the secondary. And so, he's a guy that we can roll down in the box if we want an extra man in the box to kind of be an extra run stopper. Get some of those teams that, just line down and run at you. But he's rangy enough to still play in space when we need him to. Offensively, he's a great route runner. Look forward to him, having a pretty good year this year. He had a decent year last year, and so, he's had some added responsibilities. So, he's a senior leader for us. He's kind of the juice guy that brings a little hype every day. So, I really like his energy. I like his effort. I like his attitude. Brings a lot to the table for us. Next guy is Tristan Banks. He's a guy he's a rotator for us on the offensive and defensive side. He's kind of competing for that other safety spot right now. Kind of competing for one of the corner spots. He's competing for one of the receiver spots. He's a guy that had a pretty good offseason. He's a sophomore. He had a growth spurt. He probably grew 3-4 inches, and he probably put on 10-15 pounds of muscle this offseason. So he was a kid that never missed, worked his tail off. Growth spurts help.
Absolutely.
But he's kind of that last resort quarterback if we need him. He knows it. He can do it. But he's really just kind of competing for a spot right now. A couple different spots we can stick him, and when he finds a home, he'll be successful there because he's got a great attitude and a great work ethic. Next name I got is Kendall Caldwell. Kendall had kicking duties for us last year. That's not going to change. He worked really hard this offseason on just mechanics and timing and learning how to be a better kicker. He really worked hard to get better. And so, in practice, he's getting to where he's pretty automatic for PAT, which is huge for us. Last year, kicking game hurt us a couple times. So he's still working on some distance on his kickoffs, but his placement's better. And so, Kendall's I like having Kendall around. He works hard, and then he does a good job for us. So we just got to make sure snap and hold is good, and if his snap holds good, I think he can be pretty good for us on those PATs and field goal things. One more thing about Frank A-Rod, or Alex Johnson, call him A-Rod. He's our holder on PAT as well. So field goals, PATs. So he's another guy that has a lot of hats to wear. Next guy is Ethan White. Ethan will be starting defensive end for us. He'll also probably rotate in on the offensive line, tight end some. He's in an eligible number. So he's a kid that he'll be in an eligible number, but we'll pack a lineman number just in case we got to throw one on him in emergency situations. He still learning what to do on the offensive side of the ball, but defensively he's learned our system. He's come in, bought in. He brings a pretty good attitude. Sometimes you got to reel him back in. He's kind of out there sometimes, but he's a happy-go-lucky kid, and you got to reel him back in and get him to focus. But once you do, he's a solid guy for us. Next guy is Braden McCamey. Braden's a name that's very familiar. Whether it was success in football or basketball or baseball, he had a great junior year all around. We look to continue his success this year. He'll play that tight end, wide receiver role for us on offense. Defensively, he'll play with the other outside linebacker with Skyler. And, when push comes to shove, I think he'll be one of the better outside linebackers around. He's a great kid. He works hard, great attitude, great teammate. Can't say enough good things about McCamey. Next one I got is Hunter Franklin, which is one of the twin brothers of Austin. He's a freshman. He'll be probably just a JV guy this year. He's kind of on the smaller side. He really needs another year or two, another year really in the weight room to kind of beef up a little bit. But on the JV side, he'll be a guy that starts in the secondary. He'll probably be a guy that rotates in at receiver on the JV side. Another kid with a great work ethic, great attitude. And so I look forward to see how his 4 years turn out for him. Next guy I got Zane Finkel, which is stepbrother to Austin Franklin.
Okay.
So you got Frankie, and Finkel.
All right. You got the same household on the team.
Yeah. Zane's another guy. It's his first year playing football. Kind of got to learn what to do. Once he figures it out, I think he's a guy that could probably rotate in some on varsity once he figures out his job. Mm-hmm. He's quick enough to come in and play a little corner for us. Receiver body. Probably play the slot more than outside. But Zane's again another kid with a great attitude, great work ethic. I really like that kid. Next one I got Shane Wilhoit. Shane's a converted basketball player that I had him in class, and I was like, "Hey man, why don't you come try football out?" He's like, "Well, I've thought about it." I said, "Well, quit thinking about it.
Well,
come
I'm
on."
the right one to talk to.
So getting him out is good for us. He'll be in the secondary and receiver. Again, he's kind of learning. It's his first year playing football, so he's still kind of timid, trying to figure out, hey, what is my job and how do I go do it?
Yeah.
But once he figures it out, man, he'll be fine. He would have had a pick the other night in a scrimmage, but when he flipped his hips and went to look up, son caught him right in the eyes, and and you could see
got
it.
blinded.
I mean, and I kind of did the same thing. I turned and was like, well, when you're doing this, you go up and high point it. And when I went to show him what to do, I looked up and blinded myself. So Shane's an athlete. He's bouncy. He'll be a junior, so it'll help that he'll have a year to kind of learn and figure out behind some of these older guys. So next year we expect him to have a bigger role. But this year, he'll just be kind of a rotator. Hopefully by mid-season he's kind of learned what to do, mm-hmm. and he can help keep some of these other guys fresh, give them a break. Next guy is Kyler Patterson. We call him Kilo. Kilo is a kid that he's a freshman. Played a lot of football in middle school, and he knows the game well. He may be a guy that ends up getting some Friday night playing time as a freshman.
If I remember correctly, a pretty good sized freshman too.
Yeah, he's probably about 5'10", 5'11"-ish. Needs a season in the weight room to kind of thicken up a little bit. He's a little scrawny right now, but he's an athlete. He's played a lot of football. He understands the game, so he's going to find, and he works hard. So when he figures out what to do, and I think he'll end up being a guy that's a rotator for us on a Friday night, both in the secondary and at receiver. In 7-on-7s this summer, he really impressed me. He ran his routes hard. If he had a little stop route and it wasn't there, he kind of kept his feet moving and found the green grass to sit down in. Mm-hmm. Smart football player. So I look forward to seeing him over the next 4 years and seeing how he develops.
And you can say the same about this next player too.
Absolutely. Austin Brown, another name that I look forward to over the next couple of years. He's a freshman, big body. He's probably about 5'10", 5'11". He's a little thicker than Kyler is. Right now he's won the backup quarterback job. So if Frankie's not in at quarterback, it's the show for Austin, which is a lot to put on a freshman. But he's picked our system up quick. He understands the terminology. He's a hard worker. And honestly, he may play a little bit of defense too. As weird as it sounds, he'll play middle linebacker. Okay. There's not very many freshman quarterback / middle linebackers around.
No, you won't find many at all.
Last time I remember seeing a quarterback that also played middle linebacker was Cumberland Gap. They had a big old boy who was about 250 playing middle linebacker and slinging it all over the field.
Was he a hefty lefty?
No, he was a righty. But he was hard to sack.
I'd say so.
You get a hand on him, he just throw you off of him. But Austin's a great kid. I coached him in middle school for 2 years before I come up here. Played a lot of middle school football. Understands the game, understands his reads. He's a very smart kid. So, you really only have to tell him once or twice of what he's looking for on his reads, and then he understands it, which is huge for a freshman. Most freshmen, you tell them what to read, and they're like, So for him to come in and compete, he was honestly competing with Tristan for the backup spot, and after a couple weeks, he was already above Tristan. And so we figured Tristan keeps that third spot just in case, and then move him to some other spots to get him on the field. But I've been very impressed with Austin so far this offseason. The next guy is Matthew Harrell. We refer to him as Beaver. He's from Oregon.
Oh, wow.
And he's an Oregon State fan.
Okay.
And I had a hard time saying Harrell half the time. I couldn't, so I just called him Beaver. And so the name Beaver stuck with him. But Beav he's a sophomore. Had a great offseason. Grew a couple inches. Didn't miss any lifts. I really think his attendance rating for the spring from January to May was like 99%. I think he missed one lift.
Wow.
Because he had strep throat.
That's a good day to miss.
Yeah. So, when you have that kind of dedication and you show up every day, you're going to get better.
Yeah.
He's another kid that's him and Tristan's kind of competing for that spot in the secondary, kind of competing for that slot receiver spot. Him and Tristan kind of can rotate back and forth and not lose a whole lot. They're very similar in size and frame. They both work hard, so I'm pretty pleased with his progress so far. Next guy is Zach Barkley. Barkley rejoined the team about halfway through the year last year. Started, and we put him at corner, and he's kind of held that spot ever since. So him and Franklin will be the two corners. Once we knock the rust off of him, I think he'll be good for us. He's an athlete. He's quick as I'll get out, and straight line speed. He's quick. So, offensively, we got to work on his hands a little bit. Mm-hmm. He's still a little skittish trying to catch a ball.
But the speed's there.
Speed's there.
Yeah.
Speed and athleticism's there. Just got to work on his hands. But I like Barkley a lot. Great kid. Really smart. Really high GPA. So I like that about him. Next kid is Hayden Bacon. Hayden is a sophomore. Again, he's going to be a kid that kind of competes for one of those rotational spots in the secondary, rotational spot in on the receiver corps. He's not very big, but he does not care to go hit people a lot bigger than him.
And you like to have a player with that attitude.
Yeah, so he does not care to come in and come downhill and hit people, which I like. Mm-hmm. He's a tough kid. He races a lot of the BMX, so
if you race BMX, you're a pretty tough kid.
Well,
because you're going to hit the ground a lot more times than you think.
And he does. He hits the ground quite often. I think he played baseball for Sauceman, and I think Sauce gave him the nickname Crash.
Okay.
Because it was every week he was coming back, hey, Coach, I wrecked my bike this weekend.
That feels like a nickname that Sauce would give out.
Yeah. So, Hayden, he's affectionately referred to as Crash every now and then.
So we've got Crash, Beaver, A-Rod, Kilo. We've got some good nicknames on this team so far.
Well,
we might have an all-nickname team by the end of the year.
We're trying. Where am I at here? All right, next kid, Sean Bailey, sophomore, good-sized kid. Mm-hmm. He's probably 5'11", 6 foot. He's going to be – he didn't play last year. I saw him running around the gym playing football, and I was like, hey, you should come give this a try. Come out in the spring, played some running back for us, did a pretty good job. Played some middle linebacker for us, did an okay job. Got a lark on just some aggressiveness there. But him running the ball I like a lot. Does a good job. So he's kind of the backup there to Skylar. He'll definitely be the primary back for JV games. So another year of being in the weight room, learning, figuring out how to play football because he's never really played before. So I look forward to seeing how he progresses the next couple of years. Next guy I got is old Dylan Teston. Teston's a senior. He's been around all 4 years. He'll kind of move between the H-back there and some running back, depending on, formation needs, things like that. He'll play middle linebacker, rotate in with a couple guys. I like Teston a lot. Great kid, works hard. I like seeing him come downhill and hit people. So I like that a lot about old Teston. Next guy's Trent Malone. Old Trenton is a sophomore. Never played football before. He's learning the game. He'll be a JV guy, kind of needs a year of development to learn the game, learn how to play the game at a high level. Like, don't just stand there and watch.
Yeah.
But, next couple of years, he may end up being a pretty good football player for us. He's kind of a long, lanky kid. Needs some time in the weight room. But, I like Trent a lot. He's got a good attitude. If he doesn't understand or doesn't know what to do, he asks. So he's trying to learn, which is, all I can ask from these young guys. We throw them to the fire, and it's trial by fire sometimes. Yeah. So for him to not know and not be afraid to sit and ask questions is a good thing. Next guy we got is old Jake Greene. Jake's coming off an ACL surgery. He had a non-contact ACL in the Cumberland Gap game.
Wow.
He was kind of.
I do remember that last year. Yeah.
He was coming off the edge. You can see it on film. He steps and then he hops up. So he rehabbed that thing till about March or April. He's still learning to trust it a little bit. He really didn't get in cleats till after dead period. He wasn't cleared to come in cleats so he's really only had a couple weeks in cleats to kind of get his feet back under him. But Jake will be a kid that he'll play that H-back some for us. He'll play some linebacker for us. I can't say enough positive things about Jake. He's a great attitude, great leader. He wasn't real sure if he wanted to play or not. And then, because his knee was like, man, I really want to play baseball. I said, well, I understand that, but I still want you out there. I said, I kind of talked him into it, and I'm glad I did because I like having Jake around. He's a great kid, great attitude. Can't say enough good things about him.
And you need that on a team, too. You need to have somebody that just uplifts everybody.
Oh, yeah. And honestly, he'll come in and give us a spell when we need him to. He can go dig an end out at that H-back spot. He can come downhill in a linebacker and hit people. So I like that about Jake. He don't care to go stick his nose in the mess. Next guy is old Trent Franklin. So there was Frankie, and Finkel. This is the third Frankie.
Gotcha.
Trent, another young guy. He's a freshman. He's a little bigger than Hunter is. I guess he's been eating all the food instead of Hunter. But Trent's learning how to play. He played at middle school. He's going to be an outside linebacker for us, probably a running back. Once he figures out what he's doing, I think he'll be good for us. He's a strong kid. He's just got to learn what his job is and how to do it. So he'll be a JV guy. But next year he may end up getting some varsity time for us. Next guy is old Chris Keller. Chris is a sophomore. He's never played football before. Big, strong kid. Doesn't know a lot about the game. He's still learning. So he'll be a JV guy that has to take a year to learn and develop, which is perfectly fine. That's what JV's for. Next guy is old Caden Fortner. Fortner is a junior. He'll be our starting center. He'll rotate in on the defensive line. He's not real tall. He's a real squatty body. So you don't really have to teach too much leverage to him. He's already the low man. But, the big thing for him is Everything starts up front with him. He's kind of taken into that role, and he's matured, and I'm excited to see how he looks this year. He'll rotate in at probably nose guard on D-line, and he'll be our starting center. So I like Fortner a lot. Next guy I got's Bentley Hensley. Bentley is another freshman, probably just a JV guy this year. He's playing guard and some linebacker for us. He'll be a guy that needs another year to learn. But next couple of years, if he hits him a growth spurt, he'll be all right for us. You got Kenneth DeBoard. He's another freshman. Kenny's a big kid. Kenny's probably 6'2" as a freshman.
Wow.
Big body. I like Kenny a lot. Missed his 8th grade year. First, I think it was their jamboree or a scrimmage towards ACL. So he did something. He missed his season. I won't say ACL because I don't think it was that, but he had something happen. Missed his 8th grade year. But Kenny will be, that JV left tackle for us, and he'll rotate in on D-line. I could see, honestly, by the end of the year, Kenny getting some reps, rotating in, give us a spell play here or there on varsity. Mm-hmm. Once he learns what to do, that's the hardest thing for freshmen coming in. Yep. You're learning all new terminology.
It's a faster-paced game.
Yes.
A lot of size that plays a factor into it.
Yeah, so Kenny's got the size to compete on a Friday night. It's just getting it up top, learning what to do. Next guy is Jonathan Tucker. Tucker will be one of our starting tackles this year. He'll rotate in on the D-line. Tucker's got a good work ethic, good attitude, wants to know what he's doing wrong. So if he sees a mistake, he wants to fix it. So being coachable is huge for him. He's a little undersized to be playing tackle, but, when you've got good technique and you're coachable, you can make things work.
Yeah.
So I look forward to seeing Tuck this year. Next guy is Damian Sintel, who is wearing Justin Sintel's number from last year.
Okay.
So he changed.
I knew the name Sintel.
So Sintel has moved into his brother's old number. So he was an all-region guard last year. I expect him to continue that same effort. He's another guy that's kind of a juice guy, gets us going a little bit. We do any kind of contact drill, he's chomping at the bit to go hit somebody. Him and Ethan have had some good bouts with each other. They're real close. They're neighbors, so
okay.
They a lot of times they ride to practice together, and then they get out there and they compete against each other, and so they've learned to push each other, which is a good thing because that only makes you better. He'll also be one of our starting middle linebackers this year. So he's a kid that comes downhill, does not care to stick his nose in the mess. I think he really likes to stick his nose in the mess.
Sometimes you need that on a team, though.
Yeah, you do. He's a see ball, get ball kind of kid.
Yeah.
Which I don't have a problem with. He's a great kid. I like Sintel a lot. Great work ethic. He's been working with our offensive line coach to really hone in on some technique things to get better. Mm-hmm. So I really look forward to him having another great year for us. Next kid is Jaden Brown. He's a freshman, moved in from out of state. Jaden's a little undersized right now, but he's got some pretty good genetics. His brother's playing at Carson Newman.
Okay.
So he'll be, one of those JV guys. I think he's our JV center. He'll rotate in on the D-line. I like Jaden a lot. He's a yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. Hey, yes, sir, thank you, coach. Like, very respectful young man. And, can't say enough good things about old Jaden there. Next one we got is Scott Rodriguez. We call him Scott Rod.
Another great nickname.
I talked Scott to coming out and playing football in middle school. Loved it. He stuck with it. Big kid. He's a big freshman. Again, got to work on some aggressiveness with him. Got to work on some technique. But once he figures it out, I think he'll be a good asset for us. He'll be a JV guy.
Yeah.
a lot of these freshmen will be, but you got to have some JV guys to develop and work. Next guy we got is Blake Hensley, brother to Bentley. So Blake will be a fringe rotator starter on the defensive line. Blake he'll rotate in there at that nose spot. He's got a quick first couple steps, so he gives some of these bigger linemen fits. He gave us fits when he was playing scout team last year. He gave some of our starters fits. So he's just quick off the ball. He's low to the ground, plays with good angle leverage. So he'll rotate in some for us, gives us a spell here or there. Offensive side, he'll be a rotator on the offensive line, probably at guard. And I look forward to seeing Blake play. He's just a sophomore. So we get Blake rolling, man. I like the things that he can do. Next one got Jaden Ray. Big Ray there is a senior. Big Ray, he'll be a rotator at guard and rotate in on D line, gives a spell here or there. So once he figures out his role, man, he'll be successful. Next guy's a sophomore, is Isaiah Roberts. Isaiah got some playing time as a freshman last year in emergency situations. When we were so beat up and banged up, and I was looking.
Seemed to be a trend last year.
Oh gosh, I'd turn and look, and I'd be like, "Go on." He's like, "Okay," and so he'd jump in there any chance I needed him. So this year he's kind of the sixth man on that offensive line.
Okay.
If we go like a heavy set or an unbalanced set, he goes in. If somebody's helmet pops off, he knows every spot, so he can really just plug. He's a plug and play guy.
Your Swiss Army knife of the O-line, basically.
Hey, yeah. So, he defensively, he's going to start at one of the tackle spots for us. Kind of try to rotate those guys around, keep them fresh. So we don't really have everybody going two ways this year. Trying to keep guys' legs fresh. If we can keep them on one side of the ball, that's a huge advantage. Some guys have to play two ways, but if we got a guy here that can rotate around and not lose a whole lot, keep it fresh. Next guy we got Zach Diltz. Diltz is coming off a torn labrum. He had labrum surgery sometime after the season last year. He's rehabbed that thing. He's good to roll. He's a great kid, great work ethic. Him and Centel have been in the weight room together, pushing each other, trying to get better. He'll be our starting nose guard and our other starting guard on offense. And I look forward to a great year from him. I know he's kind of chomping at the bit to get after it because he messed it up, I think, the Cloudland game.
So that was very early into the season.
And then the Eagleton game, he tried to give it a whirl, and it popped out on him, and he was like, "Coach, it hurts so bad, I can't." So I told him, I said, "That's fine. Go get your surgery. We'll rehab it. We'll get you healthy. We'll come back next year with a revenge tour and get after people." Next guy's Leland Payne. Again, another guy coming off of labrum surgery. It was during wrestling season, though. Kind of got folded up on and messed it up there. He just got cleared a couple weeks ago. But he'll be our starting tackle on offense, and he'll be starting on the D-line as well. This kid played a lot of football. He'll be a junior. He's another great kid, kind of like Jake. Can't say enough good things about him. He wants to be a Southern Baptist preacher when he gets older. So I think his plan is that after high school to go to seminary and learn there. So I've got to sit and listen to him preach a couple times. So I really like Payne. He's a great kid, comes from a great family. I taught next door to his mom at West Greene Middle for a couple years. So I've got a good connection there. He's played every snap that he could possibly play at tackle for me, except for his first game his 6th grade year.
Wow.
So his 6th grade year, he didn't play the first game, and I had a guy get hurt, and I said, Payne, you're in. And that's pretty much been his spot since.
That's awesome.
So he's played a lot of football. I look forward to him having a great year this year. Again, I can't say enough good things about Leland. Next guy is old Jeffrey Hogg. Jeff's about as goofy as they come. Jeff's worked hard. He's had a good offseason. He wrestles, so he's kind of got an understanding of how to move his body and get in good position.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to remind him, hey, Jeff, this is what you got to do. Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. He gives you everything he's got. If I told him, put your helmet on, run through that wall over there,
he'd do it. He'd give it an attempt, though.
He would give it an attempt. Needs a little more lead in his britches to be able to run through a brick wall, but he'd give you everything he's got. He'll be a guy that he'll kind of rotate in at outside linebacker when we need somebody to have a spell. He'll rotate in a receiver some. So I like Jeffrey a lot. Great kid, works hard. Next guy's James Davis. James is a freshman. James will be a JV guy. He needs some work to figure out what his job is. Yeah. Which is what JV's for. And then the last guy is Tyler Ray, younger brother to Jaden. And old Ray here needs he'll be a JV guy, a little undersized, but he needs to learn what his job is, and when he learns it, I think he'll be all right for us. So I think I covered everybody.
It covers all the players. I know that you don't have the coaches on here, but I'd like to talk about the coaches too, if you'd like to. Of course, yourself, head coach Evan Monroe, is at the top of that list. Mm-hmm. But go down through your coaching staff too and talk about each of them and what they bring to your team.
Well, we'll start with longest tenured.
Okay.
And I think that goes to Jay Early. Mm-hmm. Jay is our special teams coordinator. He helps with and does outside linebackers. Jay said he's been retiring since I was in school.
Still ain't happened yet.
Still ain't happened yet. It keeps sucking him back in. So, Jay does a great job on special teams. It's a huge burden off me to not have to worry about that. Mm-hmm. So I really appreciate everything that he does for us. Also keeps up with field maintenance,
That's what I was about to say, Mosefield.
Mosefield keeps up with field maintenance for me. So that's a huge burden off my shoulders.
Does he paint it or does he just mow it?
He just mows it.
Just mows it?
He just mows it.
He does the easy job.
Yeah. The paint is usually me and the free labor from one of my weightlifting classes.
Gotcha.
So, or I harass some of the boys and say, hey, we got to paint this field.
If it's free labor, you might as well use it.
Exactly. I guess the next longest tenure would be Mark Greenlee. Mark's been defensive coordinator here since I was a kid here. Mark's does a great job on defense. Very positive. Works with receivers on offense, so works on getting routes crisp. Works with the secondary on defense. I'll be taking over play calling duties for him on defense, make his life a little easier. So that helps him out. But he's still going to help me do the secondary calls. So he knows the secondary as well as anybody could. He knows all the checks, everything that you could ask for. So he does an excellent job for us. Next longest tenure is a guy I don't want to talk about because he'll get the big head. Well, he already got a big head, but it's getting even bigger. Clinton Hahn. Clinton was my offensive and defensive line coach when I was here. He was a young buck then, much less gray hair.
A lot more gray hair now.
Much less then. He's taken over offensive play calling for us. We kind of revamped the offense this offseason. I know he's excited about it. So I know the guys are excited for it too.
Yeah.
They like the new, exciting thing. Now the only gripe I got about Hahn, his play call sheet is about the size of a Waffle House menu and about a 6-point font.
So it's hard to read.
occasionally, and it's about 400 different colors. So I have to buy. I'm burning through the colored ink. He's costing me an arm and a leg. So
Need to take it out of his check.
I would, but he's a little stingy. A couple of the guys we have that are just volunteers, assistants. Coach Ricky Garber's been here a while, coaching middle linebackers for us, helping with running backs. Ricky does a good job for us. He's get back coach on Friday night. Had to get me back a time or two.
Yeah.
So I appreciate Ricky giving us time. We've got a couple young guys helping out this year. You got Alex Jimenez, a name that's familiar, played here a couple years ago, center and D-line for us. He's kind of helping with the offensive, defensive line. I really appreciate Yimmy coming out because he's given just his time.
Yeah.
I know as a young guy trying to make it on his own, giving up that time when he could be, doing something else is huge. So I really appreciate everything Yimmy does for us. Next guy is Jansen Kesterson, another familiar name. Jansen's going to come out, help with receivers and secondary. So, again, another volunteer guy. Does not get paid for his time.
Former players that we've covered, too.
Do what?
Former players that we've covered, too.
Yeah. Jansen's another guy that we've – pretty good football player come through here. So, did I leave anybody out? I didn't think I did.
So, we've got a pretty good audience today.
They're not the best looking audience, but we got a good audience.
It's the biggest audience I've ever had for one of these, so
hey,
give it up to them. But we've went through the roster, we've went through all the coaches, you've talked about each player, and a lot of them that I think everybody kind of expects the most out of, with Austin Franklin, Alex Johnson, Braden, a few others on the offensive line. Who are some that you expect to kind of have breakout years that we don't know their names yet, but at the end of the season we will know their names?
I think you'll end up knowing Kyler Patterson. I think you'll know Austin Brown. I think you'll know Tristan Banks, Matthew Harrell, Dylan Teston. I think those are all guys that I think Dilts will have a great year. Those are all guys that I think will have huge years for us. Some young, some old, some guys that have worked hard this offseason. So, I think Skylar will have a great year. A name that got some playing time last year but didn't get a lot of recognition. I think he'll have a great year for us. So I think those are all the guys that will have those kind of years where you're like, man, they were pretty critical to our success. So,
and then one storyline that's always different going into a year where you're giving, well, what I should say is one of the storylines for you this year will be that you will have a new quarterback.
Yeah.
That's always a storyline going into a season whenever you're starting a new quarterback. So with new leadership under center, what's your expectations at the quarterback spot?
Go through your reads. Crap hits the fan, because it's football, it does.
It does. More times than you would like it to.
Yeah. Take off. You use what the good Lord give you. Get out of bounds. Don't take any big shots. Live to fight another day. And one of the things that we've adopted as a motto for some of the quarterbacks is like, you never go broke taking a profit. So if the first read's 3 to 5 yards there, hit them. Take the easy 3 to 5. 2nd and 5 is a lot easier than 2nd and 10. You got a little more room to work with there. So that's the thing. A lot of times these fresh quarterbacks want the big ball.
Yeah.
They want to just sling it downfield as far as they can, and
not everybody can be Brett Favre though.
Exactly. So the motto of you never go broke taking a profit. If the hitch is there, take it. Take the 3 to 5, 2nd and 5, 2nd and 4. And who knows? You may take that hitch, miss a tackle, it break to a 20, 25-yard gain. So, those are things that I expect from quarterbacks. Be a leader. Manage the team. Manage the huddle. Get everybody together. And be that leader that says, all right, it's time to go.
At Corner Pond, the friendly and knowledgeable staff has the experience necessary to help you out regardless the need. Have an item of value you'd like to pawn or sell? Corner Pond can help. They pawn numerous items of value, including firearms, tools, ammunition, silver, coins, and much more. When you walk through their doors, you'll find well-stocked shelves full of electronics, gaming systems, fishing and hunting equipment, car audio and accessories. And don't forget about the room full of guitars and basses and amplifiers, or their outside lawn and garden equipment. Corner Pond is a case knife dealer and carries numerous used knives as well. Stop by and let the friendly staff at Corner Pond help you today at 432 East Bernard Avenue, Greenville, Tennessee. For more than 30 years, Tommy's Plumbing has served customers in East Tennessee with licensed and professional plumbing services. From installing your new faucet to replacing your existing piping system, our team at Tommy's Plumbing is trained to handle the job with professionalism, attention to detail, and integrity. By offering warranties on most products installed by our technicians, Tommy's Plumbing stands behind our work, ensuring that your plumbing needs are not only met, but that your problem is solved for the long term. When you need reliable and professional plumbing service, Tommy's is the only call to make. So give us a call today and let us show you the Tommy's difference.
So we've looked at the roster, we've went through all your players, we've went through all the coaches, talked about the breakout players that you expect. Let's talk about the schedule a little bit.
Okay.
Same schedule as last year, just flip-flopping home and away.
Yep.
You start the season on the 23rd at West Greene. It's kind of a weird schedule where you flip-flop in kind of the same order, where it's away, home, two homes, two aways, and then home, away, and home. It's kind of weird how it just flip-flop, but
don't really have a long stretch where you've got
no, you don't have
travel.
3 road games or 3 home games, something like that. So you start on the road at West Greene, you come back here against Cloudland at Chucky Dote, you get your first regional game, week 4 against Eagleton, you get a break between region games with Unicoi County in between there, and then you get a 3-game stretch of region opponents where you go to South Greene, to Cumberland Gap, and you host Hampton. You travel to Sullivan East for your last non-regional game, and then you end the year here at home on Halloween with Happy Valley, a very key regional game. So talk about your schedule, talk about who you think some of the toughest opponents are, and what you expect out of your schedule this year.
I don't see a game on our schedule that we can't go compete in, but we play some darn good football teams.
Yeah.
I think West Greene will be pretty good this year. I think Cloudland's always tough. They've won, I don't know how many Region 1 1A titles in a row, but
I think it's up to 10 now.
It's a lot. So they're always a hard-nosed, tough football team. Chucky Doke's a county rival. It's always a good game. Doesn't matter. You can usually throw the records out the book. Last year they gave us a pretty good thumping, so I look forward to that game, kind of coming back and competing with them. I think Eagleton will be a great football team this year. I know they're a new school, but they have all the facilities, they have all the wants that they could have met there. They didn't lose anybody, and they really started to put it together towards the end of the season last year. And so I think they'll be a team that's really, really good this year. I've not heard much about Unicoi, but I know they're a very well-coached team. They usually have athletes all over the place. I think they'll, again, be a pretty darn good football team. I think they've got a chance to win that Region 1 3A title. I know their region's pretty tough, but, man, they're a well-coached, well-disciplined, good football team. You got South Greene next, and, South Greene's always well-coached. They play hard, but it's kind of like that Chucky Doke game. Doesn't really matter what the records are. It's just a good old rivalry game.
And that one's true to that statement, because we've seen the last few years where we've had some teams that people perceive as way better than the other teams, and they've been close games.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since I think there's been a blowout in the South Greene-West Greene rivalry.
Cumberland Gap, they got a new coach this year. Haven't heard much from that end. But I know they got a pretty big sophomore class, so I think they're pretty young across the board.
Okay.
But I think they'll be much improved. I think they're going to be a well coached team, and it's Cumberland Gap was one of the wins we had last year. I'd like to continue that.
Yeah. You want to continue the streaks that you have.
Yeah. And so, but I know they're going to be much improved. New coaching staff's brought a lot of energy and a lot of excitement. And I think they had 25 sophomores, and I think somebody said they had 20 freshmen. So
very young.
Very young, but next year or two, man, they may be having that thing rolling up there. So, I expect them to be much improved from last year. Hampton's Hampton. You know what you're going to get into. They're going to be tough.
Hard-nosed football.
Yep. But I think we'll give them a better fight this year than we did last year. Sullivan East, I think, will be an interesting one, going to Bristol for that one. Sullivan East lost a lot last year. That quarterback they had that slung it all over the place.
Fisher?
Yeah. I think he led the state in passing.
I think so, too.
I think he was, top 10 in the nation in passing. I know they're an air raid. They've got the godfather of the air raid as an offensive analyst, so they may throw for 800 yards against us.
Yeah.
Who knows? But that's an interesting game. I think that's one we can go give them a run for their money. They're a 4A school, but I think we can go compete with them. I don't care who it is. I think we can go compete with them. And then last one's Happy Valley. Again, Happy Valley lost a lot. Lost their stud running backs. But knowing Happy Valley, they're going to be well coached. They're going to be coached up. They're going to have been in the weight room. They're going to be physical. And they're going to do things the right way. So we've got a pretty tough schedule. But like I said, I don't think there's a game on our schedule that we can't at least go compete in and give ourselves a chance. Sometimes with football, you've got to have a break or two go your way. And I don't think there's a game on our schedule that if a break or two doesn't go our way that we can't win. I really like the group of guys we've got. We only 36 strong, but it's 36 good ones. So 35. Can't let Payne get the big head.
Okay. I know last year was kind of an adjustment period. You went to a new realigned region with 6 teams. It was kind of different getting back in there with South Greene again, some of those other teams losing Chucky Doak, but you're kind of acclimated to that now. It's your second year in that region. Moving up to 6 teams and only 4 make the playoffs. Yeah. Missed the playoffs last year, and of course this year you're going to be eyeing another playoff berth. So after missing the playoffs last season, what do you have to do to get back there and play football in November?
Most important thing is those region games are huge. I think we can get back to the playoffs. That's been our goal. It kind of left a bitter taste in our mouths of we missed the playoffs.
Yeah,
it's been a minute since we missed the playoffs around here. We got to get back to that. So, we were a couple plays here, a couple plays there from being in the playoffs. So, these seniors were sophomores when we had that great year. So they've had a taste of success. And last year, being a little disappointed, I think they're ready to come back and be successful. So those region games are huge. Got to win at least 2 of them.
Yeah.
You prefer 3 or 4, just so you
prefer 3 so that you could basically put yourself in that 4 spot. But there, of course, are upsets that happen in sports.
Yeah. So you don't want to end up being tied for 4th.
Yeah, and you have to go down to the tiebreaker scenarios.
And you want to control your own fate at that point. So really, you really want to win the region, because then you go to Region 2 for that first playoff game, or they come to you. You're hosting that playoff game. It's a different atmosphere.
Yeah.
So Region 2's got a pretty good bus ride to get to Region 1.
Yep.
So keeps you off a bus, keeps you fresh. Really, you want to finish first or second in the region, so you host. But tells you how important those region games are.
That's true. And then the last question I've got for you, I know you talked about how excited you are that football is around the corner. What's your outlook on the season at this exact moment, 18 days away from kickoff?
We had our first scrimmage last week, and looked like a first scrimmage. So outlook right now is we got to get to work. We got 18 days till we go to North Greene. We got to get to work. And I think that's every football coach after the first scrimmage.
Yeah.
But man, I'm excited for this group of kids. We got some good athletes that we can get the ball to, kind of spread it around a little bit, spread the wealth. They've worked hard this off season, so I'm excited to see the fruits of our labor. Outlook is don't matter where or when. I think we can go compete with everybody. I think we'll go give everybody a fit, and that's all I'll ask for. Give us a chance. There was a couple games last year, especially the Unicoi game. First quarter was over. I looked up. It was 28-0. You don't have to give yourself much of a chance at that point.
Yeah.
So for us to go give ourselves a chance in every game. That's the goal right now. Go give ourselves a chance. Play mistake-free. Go play as hard as you can. Let the ball fall where it lies.
I think that's all I've got for you, unless there's anything else you'd like to add.
Go Buffs.
Go Buffs. It looks like our audiences grew a little bit, too.
It got uglier, that's for sure.
Finished with the interview. They didn't even give you a round of applause.
Wow.
There we go.
Yeah.
Coach, that's all I've got for you. Once again, thank you. Look forward to sitting with you every week this season. Thank you all for watching the first edition of the Malone's Record Service Evan Monroe Show, presented by Critters Corner. We look forward to seeing y'all next time here on Grassroots Media.
Go Buffs.